I'm not the kind of guy who brags about his job, but it's relevant to this story. I run a boutique marketing firm in Portland. Small team, big clients. I started it after leaving a big corporate job in Manhattan. Got tired of suits and politics, wanted something real. It's funny how the moment you stop trying to impress people, the right people show up. She showed up on a Thursday, late September, Portland rain. Her name was Lila Hart. She walked in for the interview wearing boots that were soaked from the ankle down, hair damp, umbrella broken. But she smiled, nervously, the kind of smile people give when they're aware they're a mess, but they're owning it anyway. That vulnerability, that authenticity, yeah, it hit me right in the chest. She wasn't the most impressive candidate on paper. In fact, my assistant tried to reschedule her interview, saying she's too green for this. No way she'll survive our clients. But I said no. I wanted to meet her, and when I did, I hired her on the spot. Because sometimes your gut speaks louder than your resume. She started the following Monday. She sat 2 desks from mine, always early, always quiet, always scribbling something in her little leather-bound notebook she kept tucked under her arm like it was sacred. At first, it was all professional. She respected me, called me Jason, like the rest of the team did, never flirted, never lingered, just focused. But then it started. The small things I probably shouldn't have noticed. Like how her breath would hitch when I leaned over her screen to check a project. How she'd watch me when she thought I wasn't looking. That subtle gaze women give when they're trying to memorize your face without making it obvious. I've seen it before. I've ignored it before. But this time, I didn't want to ignore it. I started watching her too. Not just because she was beautiful, although she was. Long brunette hair, sharp cheekbones, soft green eyes, and that nervous laugh she'd try to hide with her knuckles. No, I watched her because she saw me. Not Jason, the boss. Jason, the man who stayed late because he had no one waiting at home. The man who poured whiskey into coffee some mornings just to keep warm inside. She started bringing me coffee. Just figured you'd forget again, she said the first time, placing it on my desk without eye contact. I didn't forget. I just liked how it tasted better when it came from her hands. Soon, we started staying late together. At first, it was about deadlines. Then it was about playlists. Then it was about stories. I learned she moved to Portland after a messy breakup in Denver, that she once wanted to be a poet, that she cried during car commercials if the music hit just right. She learned that I was engaged once, 6 years ago. Didn't work out. She didn't ask why. Smart girl. She knew if a man doesn't volunteer the answer, he's still bleeding from it. We never crossed the line. Not physically, but emotionally. God, we danced on it every single day. There was this one night, we were working late on a campaign for a whiskey brand. The office was dark, just the 2 of us, laptops open, music low. She laughed at something I said, really laughed, head thrown back, eyes closed. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. And in that silence, that unbearable, electric silence, I almost kissed her. Almost. But I didn't. She blinked and pulled back and whispered, I should go. She left her notebook behind that night. I didn't mean to open it, but it was there. And I'm a human being. Inside, she'd written poetry, most of it abstract. But one page stopped me cold. It read, he doesn't know how the room feels warmer when he walks in, how my breath hides behind my teeth when he says my name. There was no name, but it didn't need one. I closed it and left it on her desk. Next morning, she avoided me. Didn't say a word all day. I gave her space. But inside, something cracked wide open. It wasn't a game anymore. This girl, this woman was in love with me. And I was falling too. But I couldn't show it. Because I was her boss. And because she deserved better. That weekend, I went hiking alone. Left my phone at home. Walked until my legs gave out and my lungs burned. And I asked myself a question I hadn't dared to ask in years. What if this is the real thing? When I came back Monday, she wasn't at her desk. My assistant told me she'd resigned. No warning, just a typed letter left on the desk. No forwarding address, no email, gone, like a ghost. I won't lie, I panicked, called every number on her resume, nothing. 2 weeks passed, I barely slept. I read her notebook like scripture. Then one night, I was walking home from a late client dinner and saw her, in a bookstore, sitting on the floor between poetry and fiction, crying. I walked in, heart pounding. She looked up, eyes red. No, she whispered. But I dropped to the floor beside her. And for the first time since I met her, I broke the rule. I kissed her in front of the Bukowski shelf, under dim lights, with old jazz playing from the ceiling speakers. And she kissed me back like she'd been holding her breath for months. We walked home together, and for the rest of the night, we said everything we were too afraid to say. She told me she left because she couldn't take the ache of loving someone who wouldn't admit he loved her back. I told her I didn't admit it because I thought I'd lose her. But we were both wrong. We lost each other anyway, until we didn't. It's been 4 years now. She's no longer my employee, she's my partner in life. And in our new venture, we opened a small publishing house last year. Poetry and stories for real people, like us. Sometimes she still hides her poems, but I find them, and every time I read them, I remember. Girls fall for bosses, but not because of power, because sometimes a heart recognizes a home, even in the middle of a boardroom. And when that happens, you don't fight it. You write it down, you kiss her, and you never ever let her walk away again.